Right, welcome back to the caravan. Right, so something else I've done on my experience days, done quite a number of, to stay a bit more traditional, experience days where I sort of going out with just a rod and line, roving about, probably be more sort of stick float fishing, waggler fishing, stuff like that. So one thing, obviously setting up stick float, certainly on the bank, if you're using I'm using anything up to 18-foot long rods, probably 14, 16, 18-foot long rods. Time is the essence. I normally end up roving about, going straight from the shop. I want to try and get my fishing time maximum, which I don't want to be wasting time setting up stick floats on the bank. It can be quite intricate, really, getting the shotting on, whether your shirt buttoned, etc, etc. So again, going back to first video talking about jig, I use my jig, set stick floats up. The way I set my stick floats up might be slightly different. I know Dave Arrow does them a certain way, Alan Scotland does some different way. So I generally try and do them all on one size line as I've done with everything else. So I'll probably use 0.14 line, which is about 4.4 pounds. That's the wife prattling around outside the caravan. Go away. Right, so yeah, so you just generally use MIDI. Apparently the sausages are in the oven for 10 minutes. Right, so try and get me train of thought back. Right, so yeah, same with all my other ones. I use one set of mainline, job done, for making the actual main part of the rig. I like to use on that. I like to use MIDI low-vis. So most of them are made up on 0.14. I've only got what I brought out earlier, which is 16 and 12. So 0.14, I'm sure if you wanted to, I know I spoke on another video to forget all this poundage, but it's about 4.4 pound, I think. I like the low vis because it's got some stretch in it, basically, so that works. All my main line on my, which I actually should have brought out and didn't, all my main line for all my stick float fishing and my waggler fishing is all Colmic all round. Now the reason I use that is it's a very low diameter line and it's really strong. I generally use it in points 116 and 118 diameters. It sits perfectly in surface film. It's a water resistant line. It's not like a fluorocarbon. You don't want to use fluorocarbons because you don't want a sinking line. I personally don't think there is a better floating line. Now I've had a few friends and gave them the line and they've actually come back and said the same thing. It just sits so right on the surface. It's so fine, the wind don't pick it up. It strikes up off the surface cleanly. You can mend the line off the surface cleanly. If you need it to get under the water for your waggler fishing, you can dunk the tip under, quick reel in. It will break the surface, but it still doesn't sink properly. It just sits below the surface, so it's just perfect. So that's Colmic all round. Definitely go for that. So all the main lines on that. So what I'll do is my stick floats are made up on winders to save time. So question being is a few people on my experience days is how long do I make the line. Generally speaking, I will probably make that up on about 6 foot, depending on where I'm going. They're 10 number 4 sticks. They're just some I've just grabbed out of my box. It's 10 number 4 wire stem Dave Arrow sticks, insert sticks. Yeah, it kind of depends on where I'm going. 10 number 4s, one thing on the number 4s, if you think on your shotting, we'll talk probably about this a bit more maybe in another video. I might do it in this, depending on how long we go on for. 1 number 4 per foot is a rule of thumb. So anyway, going back to making the rig up, I think what we'll do is we'll just quickly touch about making the rigs, and then I'll talk about obviously shotting, the difference between wire stems, etc, etc. So yeah, if you make the rig up, so if it's rough, most of your shotting wants to probably be, I don't know, if it's 10 foot of water, you're fishing a 10 number 4 float, roughly you don't really want to be fishing any more than 10 foot on that. This is my own preference. And then you probably want the shotting in the last 6 foot of water, probably even less than that. So I'd make the rig up probably on 5 or 6 foot, which is obviously short. And then the idea being is I'll attach the rig to the main line. Basically, it is a few ways of doing it. I normally make a little tiny loop up on the main line, and then blood knot it to it. You can use obviously different types of knots. There's probably a far better knot than that. And then what I will do then is obviously the float then will come off the rig line and go. It will come off the rig line and go up onto the main line. So it actually goes up and over and past the shot. The knot, should I say? But obviously it will slide through the rubbers on the float. So obviously that's quite a short rig. So realistically speaking, I mean, I'll put a loop on there just so I can put it back on the winder. I can actually slide that past and over the loop, so the loop will probably end up coming down here, and then the float is on the main line. One of the things I like that reason why is if generally the knot is the weak spot, as a rule of thumb. So if I do crack off, I'm more than likely, if I lose the bottom end, just trying to wind this off so you can see how short this rig is. If I do crack off, oops, there you go. So that is basically how short that rig is. Obviously something I use somewhere at some point. So obviously it's quite a, with it being 10 number 4, it's quite a heavy rig. So the float will go up onto the main line. So if I do crack off, in theory I'll lose this bit, but I'll still get my float back. That is the general idea on that. So again, like with the old pole floats, again, if I do crack off, I'll have another one on a winder. It's not too much hassle then to put another rig on, get the float back. Whereas instead of, I mean, this is quite, let's say, a bulk shot, whereas obviously you can make some more intricate ones up. If you imagine that was a massive long line of smaller shot, and then you got to start again, you'll be pretty, I've only got X amount of time to actually go fishing, and then I'm going to have to remake a complete rig up. So it just saves so much time. You only got to set the rod up. Other thing I add to these rigs is a Colmic clip swivels. That's about an equivalent to probably a number 10. Idea being is obviously I can quickly change up lengths. I can change the size of hooks if I want to. If I'm running through on maggots, I might be running through on a size 18 maggot, and then all of a sudden I'm finding that I'm hitting bigger fish and I need a better hook. I need a bigger bait, etc. I can just quickly clip one off, clip another one off. If it doesn't work, I can go back dead quickly. Other thing, if I'm fishing, say double maggots and stuff, because it's a swivel, it will stop spin up. The only thing with I know Claruso makes some which actually come with a bit of rubber on. The Comet ones don't come with a bit of rubber sleeving. I'll put a bit of, let's try and show you, a bit of float silicone on there. It's been broken off and need a longer bit on. So the float silicone will come across and just cover everything up and make it nice and neat, stop the link from coming undone. Surprisingly strong. I've fished for carp with these swivels. They're just nuts how strong they are. And that is it. just makes that side of things dead easy. And then going back to the jig, if you remember on an earlier video, I said I put a nail a little bit further down from a normal hook link. Now that's why, so I can clip that on, clip it all the way up my jig, and make my rigs up. That is kind of it really. It just shows that you can make your stick floats up, put them on your jig, make them up on your jig as you would with everything else. Put them on your winder, write everything on the side of the winder as normal. You can chuck them in a bag, so it's taking a range of floats. You can have a few made up. Generally speaking, if you're like me and I know that I'm going to go fishing straight from the shop tomorrow, I know roughly where I'm going, I know roughly what floats. I can take some lignum stems and some wire stems, and probably a few different capacities, and I can chop and change it to that nice and quickly. If I break off, I can quickly change a float, and that's kind of it. So again, going back, so select one main line as your rig line. Most important thing is obviously your main line that's actually going on the rod and reel. By far the best one I've come across is Colmic all-round because it floats. I use a midi low vis on my rig line because it's got a bit more stretch in it. And then my hook links, I will just go down to what I use for everything really, which is Colmic Stream hook links. And that's it. Alright, so yeah, like us, follow us, share us, Facebook, blah 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 blah, all that lot. Go and get a cup of tea, run through. I hope that's of help. Cheers.